Nobody tells you that you will be spending the rest of your life trying to accept yourself. This is something that I've been pondering quite a bit lately as I've been growing older and I've been trying to be more in touch with myself, with the things that I value, the type of person that I would like to be. And one thing that I've come to see is that there are certain areas of my life. I'm wondering if you see this as well, but there are certain areas of my life where I feel like I don't fully accept myself. So some things that we may spend a lot of time in our life trying to accept, for example, could be aspects of our personality or character. I know that when I was growing up, I was quite introverted and reserved and perhaps a little bit distant. And I did feel that there was more of a preference for outgoing, extroverted, um, very talkative, sociable people. And I felt like that really wasn't me growing up. And as much as I could try to like pretend or fake it, it just really was not my personality. And I had a lot of like insecurity surrounding that aspect of myself. Could be our styles of communication. I know that's something that I felt a lot of guilt and shame about is that when I am in a conflict situation, it's very easy for me to be more of like a fighter personality. Like I want to talk back, I want to justify myself, I want to give reasons. Like sometimes I've even like raised my voice, and I think there can be a lot of like shame and guilt attached to that style of communication. Yes, that style of communication is not very effective. It's not an effective style of conflict resolution, but I'm just saying that there can be a lot of shame with engaging in those communication styles to start off with, such that when you want to change that form of communication, it's hard to, because you don't accept yourself fully already, that that's something that you need to change. Another thing for me has been like my physical appearance. I've grown up largely in communities where I have been a minority. So it's been really hard for me to accept aspects of my appearance. Like, for example, my hair. My hair is very curly and kinky and coily and just so different from the people who are around me. And nobody's had hair like mine. And if they did have hair like mine, they've always like had it up in like extensions or braids or just something to keep it away. And of course, there's reasons for that, but I think it's been hard for me to accept that aspect of my appearance fully. And that's something I am just kind of getting into and learning more about now. Sometimes it can be the stage of life that we find ourselves in. Like, oh, there's a bee. Ah. Like, for example, I worked most of my life to be a teacher, and I decided that really was not for me for a host of reasons. And so I decided to branch into some other career paths. And I think accepting that the career that I had been trying for so long really wasn't what I wanted at the end. At the beginning, it was difficult because sometimes there's this idea that you need to stay and you need to be grounded and solidified in a certain choice, in a certain path. That may not be the best path for you, you find in the end. And sometimes there can be a lot of like shame or guilt with changing your mind. Sometimes it's life experiences that you are trying to accept, like maybe something has happened in your life that there's a lot of like guilt or shame attached to that incident or to that scenario or that circumstance or that to that happening in your life. And maybe it's hard for you to fully accept that that happened to you, or that's something that is a part of your lived experience. And so you spend a lot of time trying to accept that about yourself. And besides these things, I'm sure there are so many different things that we all struggle to accept about ourselves. Often it's the media, it's society, it's your family, it's just things that these insecurities that come from different messages that you hear that make it very challenging, very hard to accept yourself. Nobody told me that it would be hard and that there would be a lot of opposition, whether it's opposition from myself because of the way that I've been conditioned and the way that I've been conditioned to see myself and look at myself, that there would actually be internal resistance to accepting myself, that the media, voices from various communities, even family, all of these things may teach you, have taught me not to fully accept myself, maybe to have guilt, to have shame, to strive to be different, to strive to be like someone else, look like someone else, talk like someone else. For example, it's taken me a long time to accept that I am more of a reserved, introverted person, because I had been in a lot of communities where being more outgoing, being more extroverted was rewarded. And I honestly think that's still the case. Like, I think this is a world where extroversion and being outgoing and being able to talk a lot, even unnecessarily, is more rewarded than being someone who is more rewarded, at least on a superficial or more face surface level, more rewarded than being thoughtful and taking your time to answer things and being quieter and deliberate with your responses. So I want to encourage you that if you are feeling what I'm feeling, where it feels like you are taking a lot of time to accept yourself, to accept where you're at, the stage you're at in life. And yeah, that's actually another thing, like accepting the stage you're at in life. There is a lot of shame and a lot of stigma with like what stage you're at. Like, for example, if you're a certain age and you're not married yet, or you don't have children, or like you are not in like a stable career, sometimes there's a lot of like stigma, or depending what community you come out of, there's a lot of stigma for things like that too. So I want to encourage you that if you're feeling like I'm feeling, you're not alone. Um, we are all here. We're all here trying to unpack and undo all of the pressures, all of the messages, the conditioning, what the media has to say. We are undoing all of that. And beneath all of that is who we are. And I want to encourage us that let's keep going on this journey of self love and accepting who we are. It doesn't mean that we can't aspire for something different. It doesn't mean we can't change. It doesn't mean that we can't decide that perhaps the path we're on or the values we have, that we want something different for our lives. It doesn't mean that, but I think it's really important, it's really significant to accept who we are today, right now, and love ourselves from that place. My name is Imo, and if you have enjoyed the content, please subscribe and like. It lets the YouTube algorithm know that this content is valuable and worthy of being promoted. Thank you so much for your support.